the timer marker. All right, here we go, and we're going to be reviewing New Warsaw's Hogweed, an article review for Kajetan Rights. So the first, yes, the eradication of hogweed, due to its toxicity, was the most important thing, or the highest priority for colonists. Does wanting to know doesn't motivate you to read? No, that's a good question. But see, I want a hook. I want an inciting incident. Here, you're providing this great information. This is new planet, the colonists, and you're the one who brought up the objective of the colonists was to eradicate it. And the eradication of hogweeds was the most important thing due to its toxicity. That's all you would need to say. Mouse over, it's you, dummy. Okay. New Warsaw's hogweed averages about 3 meters in height. It can even be up to 5 meters high. The hogweeds have straight, firm stems that can reach a diameter of 15 centimeters. Leaves are about 50 to 60 centimeters long. In the upper part, the stem divides into smaller ones which are slightly thinner than the main one. Each of the upper stems has inflorescence on top. Good use of a tooltip. It resembles an umbrella. The flowers usually are white, yellow, or purple. The plant also has a very big and deep root system. I wouldn't use very big and just say large. A large and deep root system, or you could deep implies that it's very big, but I would rather know, is it wide? Is it a wide and deep? Is it narrow and deep? That would be interesting, because if it's in a high wind area, the roots would be wide. If it's in a dry area, the roots would be deep. So depending on the climate that this hogweed is, will really determine on what kind of root system it has, and also how does it repopulate? You may describe this later, but if it sends out shooters to send up another plant, that would be something as well. Okay. It makes it difficult to eradicate and drains the soil of most of the nutrients needed by other plants. Good. Reports of scout and eradication teams say that areas around hogweed colonies have much less other plants and the soil was dry. Additionally, hogweed seeds are very resilient and can survive extreme conditions. Every part of the plant contains a toxin which serves as its natural defense against insects and pathogens. Very good information. In contact with human skin, it causes severe burns. The effect of the toxin is even greater when the affected skin is exposed to sunlight, especially ultraviolet. It is less dangerous for animals because the fur protects them from sunlight. Depending on the severity of the burns, they can heal in a time between a couple of days and few years. The toxin is also poisonous. When ingested, the animal or person will develop a rash in a matter of minutes. After an hour, they will start to choke and would die in agony. Okay, where's this rash? Originally, it was in almost every climb. Okay, so um, the extreme conditions, you may want to say, a variety of biomes or something like that to say this is resilient, not only that it can spread all over the place. Okay, the rash, is the rash internal? Because if they ingest it, it's first going to touch the mouth, and then but a rat. So would it be a rash in the mouth and then on the skin? And would it cause an anaphylactic reaction, meaning the windpipe closes? So um, you would start to choke and would die in agony. Um, Dying in agony is a flowery term, but it's not a scientific term. Um, they would start to choke. Okay, so do they die of asphyxiation, lack of oxygen, or do they die? The toxin attacks their nervous system, their brain, their lungs. How does it kill them? Because you can choke. Uh, like if you like is is it choking because the neck is closed off or because the lungs no longer function because it messes with the blood system and you die because the blood is no longer able to carry oxygen throughout the body. And depending on how quick you want your death will determine on how it kills you. Because if it's a death in agony, that you know what kind of agony. I'm being really gross here, but you know my my CSI, my love for CSI TV shows is coming out right now. New Warsaw's hogweed has very few natural enemies. Only two things that stop it from spreading all over the planet. The first reason is its seasonality. The hogweed dies in late autumn and the seeds don't sprout until mid spring. Good to know. The second reason is the only animal who eats it. The human scientists classified it as a bear fox hybrid. According to their study, the animal produces an enzyme which neutralizes the plant's toxin. Interesting. I think the lungs not functioning is a better option. Okay, because that would definitely prolong the agony. So you could have the rashes and you could have a swelling in the throat to make it agonizing, but it's actually your lungs no longer able to process oxygen that actually kills you. Yes, CSI, NCIS, uh, I, I, I love those. I love those kind of shows. Okay, New Warsaw's hogweed was discovered in 2070 when the first colonists arrived on the planet. Around the area where the colony ship landed were a number of hogweed colonies. After a couple of unpleasant encounters, colonists knew they needed to eradicate them if they wanted to live on the planet. Adam ran into the hogweed-like plant and burnt his hand. Dr. Malinowski said that after a few days' treatment and keeping the hand out of sunlight, he would be okay. We need to get rid of that nuisance. Why did they not know? Now, this may not be germane to this topic, but why didn't they know about this plant before they came to New Warsaw? If it is so prevalent and it is so worldwide, planet wide, nobody saw this before the colonists showed up. There were no exploratory people, exploratory missions. All right. Eradication. Methods of eradication changed throughout time. In the beginning, it was done by simply cutting the plants down and removing the roots. For safety reasons, people were wearing hazmat suits while working. After a couple of years, it was observed that cutting had little effect on the plant's population. It was spreading too fast. Good explanation. Yes, Emily, I would like to have a picture of the food that I'm not allowed to eat. Oh, they were. It just wasn't seen as a threat originally. Okay. Isaac, welcome. As a response to the plant's fast spread, a new method of eradication was introduced: fire. People and vehicles with flamethrowers were deployed to hogweed colonies. This method was much more effective and fun than just cutting, but it was seen as Sisyphean labor. Oh, what a wonderful word. Luckily, it was possible to keep them away from the settlements. Burning the hogweed. Burning brought good results and was able to contain the new Warsaw hogweed in isolated areas, but it was still a nuisance and a threat. In 2340, scientists developed a substance that to kill the plant and stop it from spreading. It worked by killing roots and seeds of the plant. The colonial administration approved its use without hesitation. After a few months, about 90% of the hogweed's population was dead. The remaining 10% was in remote areas from which it was highly unlikely for them to reach settled areas naturally. Okay. Despite the will to get rid of the yes, Warsaw hogweed article, yes. Um but like, Roundup is a chemical that we have, I don't know what its actual chemical name, but it's marketed called Roundup. Uh it really took that many years to discover it. You may want to say that known known herbicides from Earth were not effective. Juxtaposition, thanks for coming by. Have a good night. Nutella and Vegemite. Is there a competition? Yeah, thank you, James. Let's keep going here. So, yeah. Okay, so Roundup. Thank you, James, for providing that information about it. But it would just be good to know that there was no Earth previously discovered Earth herbicides that were effective in the testing. That's why it took so many years for them to develop a new poison. And did the bear fox have anything to do with it? Because you talk about the bear fox earlier, how it has the enzyme to neutralize it. That would be interesting to see, because you bring that up. It would be interesting to see if humans were able to harvest and then synthesize the enzyme from the bear fox to use for a purpose of your choice. For example, medical. It was found that the enzyme produced by the bear fox was good as a topical lotion for those who were unfortunate enough to touch or have this on them. Also, it could be a pill format for those who accidentally ingested it. You brought up the bear fox. I think that would just be a cool addition as well. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, some people claim that they could be a good food for domestic animals. Small-scale experiments were approved by the colonial administration, and they were even successful. It used the enzymes of the bear fox animal, okay, to neutralize the toxin in the plant. However, the plant was difficult to contain inside a farm as the seeds were spread by wind. Because of that, the experiment was closed. Able to neutralize. So I spoke a little bit too soon. Thank you for referring back to the bear fox. You may be able to refer back to it more. Um, were there any attempts for genetic modifying the organism, splicing the enzyme from the bear fox into the plant to grow to that would make the plant not have toxins? That could be some genetic manipulation as well. As for if you're looking for more experiments to add to it, I thought that would be interesting. Great picture. Great picture. Herculeum novus varicivenus. The plant received its name due to the similarity to a plant existing on Earth known as Sosnowski's hogweed. Sosnowski's hogweed was a plant which caused many problems in Central and Eastern Europe in the second half of the 20th century and the 21st century. Similarly to the new Warsaw's hogweed, it produced a toxin which caused burns when the affected skin was exposed to sunlight. The hogweed was part of the plant's ecosystem long before we arrived here. Plants and animals were adapted to live next to it. I'm sure that bringing that species to the verge of extinction will have catastrophic consequences for the planet. We broke the balance. Very interesting point that you bring up here, because when you get rid of something as large as that, you definitely are breaking the balance. This is good, but I don't think there's enough information here about, you have an ecological activist. What about, maybe there's a larger movement about that. This quote is good, but is there more about this that would be, there, you know? We broke the balance. Yeah, I do like that. Very, really good article. Has a lot of great information. I think that I believe all of my suggestions were additive. Hopefully. Yeah, and I do think it's important, even with this stuff. Oh, it's a sidebar? Okay, it's a sidebar. Yeah, fun article.